in everything I've done. You know, Sound of Music, Blood Brothers, the R thing, R. There's no R in this at all. I mean, she is weird.
She was a global sensation, a voice that echoed across continents, a woman who defied the odds. But behind the glitz, the fame, and the soaring melodies was a story the world never heard. Until now. At 92, Petula Clark shatters the silence, revealing the price she paid for stardom. The harassment, the threats, the secrets she carried for decades. It's time to tell it all. Petula Clark wasn't even born with that name. She entered the world as Sally Olwyn Clark in 1932. But her father, with a strange sense of creativity, decided she needed something unique. Combining the names of two ex-girlfriends, he gave her Petula. The name stuck, and so did the destiny it carried. From the very start, her life wasn't meant to be ordinary. Her childhood was a series of shifting landscapes. While her parents worked as nurses, she spent time in Wales with her grandparents, moving constantly as war loomed over Britain. But it was in a crowded pub, standing on a makeshift stage at just 7 years old, that her fate took a sharp turn. Smoke filled the air, voices roared, yet the moment she sang, silence fell. That voice, clear, angelic, commanded attention. Then, in 1942, the world truly took notice. Petula and her father visited London's Underground Theatre to record a simple message for her uncle, a soldier stationed in North Africa. But fate had other plans. As the air raid sirens screamed and fear gripped the shelter, a producer needed a distraction. Petula, just 9 years old, stepped forward. At first, she considered impersonating a famous comedian, but her father gave her a nudge. Sing, and she did. The room stilled, the orchestra joined, and for a few fleeting moments, the war outside ceased to exist. That broadcast changed everything. The BBC was overwhelmed with letters. Who was this little girl with the voice of an angel? Just like that, she became Britain's wartime sweetheart. For the next 3 years, her voice carried across the airwaves, performing over 500 times, offering hope to a country in turmoil. By 11, she was dubbed Britain's Shirley Temple, not just for her talent, but for the way she made people feel. Soldiers took her photographs into battle. She was more than an entertainer. She was a symbol of home. But fame, as dazzling as it was, came with a cost. By 16, she had sung for Winston Churchill, King George VI, and even Field Marshal Montgomery. But behind closed doors, the industry wasn't so kind. Powerful figures saw young talent as something to exploit, and Petula wasn't spared. She faced harassment, the kind of experiences that made young women in Hollywood and the music world tread carefully. Yet, she kept silent, burying the pain, forcing a smile, and pushing forward. By the mid-1950s, she was evolving, her music maturing with her. A song she almost rejected, The Little Shoemaker, became a surprising hit, marking her first major success. What followed was unprecedented. She didn't just sing in English, she mastered French, German, Italian, even Japanese, recording songs that topped international charts. She was no longer just Britain's darling, she was a global icon. But then came the moment that would define her career forever. A song titled Downtown landed in her hands. Petula wasn't convinced. The lyrics seemed too simple, but producer Tony Hatch insisted it had magic. So, she recorded it. The session was a disaster. The power cut out multiple times, tensions rose, and Petula almost walked out, convinced the song was cursed. But they persisted. When Downtown finally hit the airwaves, the world stopped. The song climbed the charts at breakneck speed. It shattered records, made her the first British female artist to top the US charts in the rock and roll era, and earned her a Grammy. Suddenly, she wasn't just famous, she was a legend. But while America embraced her, her home country was different. Despite her success, the UK charts weren't as welcoming. She felt the shift. Even so, she remained unstoppable. In the 1960s, she dominated in multiple languages, achieving what no artist had done before: simultaneous hits in English, French, and German. Her voice was everywhere. Then came Hollywood. The late 60s saw her starring opposite Fred Astaire in Finian's Rainbow. Critics adored her, but box office numbers didn't. It didn't matter. She proved she wasn't just a singer who could act. She was a performer through and through. Then came Goodbye, Mr. Chips, a role that nearly slipped away when she was initially replaced. But fate intervened, bringing her back into the spotlight. She didn't just meet expectations, she surpassed them. But it was Broadway that would push her limits, like never before. At 48, she took on The Sound of Music, performing 8 shows a week, proving she could hold her own in a grueling schedule. Then, at 62, she stepped into the shoes of Norma Desmond in Sunset Boulevard, a role meant for younger actresses. Even in her 80s, she refused to fade. At 84, she released her 48th studio album, an unimaginable feat in an industry obsessed with youth. Then, at 85, she stunned everyone. A 53-date U.S. tour, no intermissions, no slowing down. But the real shock came on February 23rd at the B.B. King Blues Club in New York. She finished her set, but instead of leaving, she stayed, jamming past midnight, as if time itself had no claim over her. But one moment from 1968 still stands as one of her most powerful. On national television, she reached out and placed her hand on Harry Belafonte's arm. It was a simple gesture, lasting just 3.5 seconds. But in that moment, history was made. It was the first time a white woman had physical contact with a black man on American television. The backlash was immediate. Advertisers threatened to pull funding. Stations debated pulling the broadcast, but Petula refused to let the moment be erased. That single touch, in the midst of the civil rights movement, shattered barriers. It was more than a performance. It was defiance. A legendary name in music and film, Petula Clark has seen it all. But even after decades in the spotlight, nothing could prepare her for the loss of Claude Wolff. Their marriage was unconventional, built on love, partnership, and an unbreakable professional bond. They defied Hollywood's fleeting romances, staying together for over 60 years, despite living separate lives. But when Wolff passed away in March 2024, Clark's world was forever changed. In a deeply emotional statement, she revealed how lost she felt, how the grief was unlike anything she had ever known. For an artist who spent her life on stage, performing for millions, this was a silence she never expected. But she's not the only one facing heartbreak. In a stunning and unexpected confession, another Hollywood legend has opened up about a secret that's been hidden for years. A well-known A-lister, who has been the face of box office success, has finally admitted to struggling with financial ruin. Fans have always seen them as a powerhouse, an unstoppable force in the industry. But behind the glitz and glamour, they were drowning in debt, the victim of bad investments and betrayals by those they trusted most. The confession has sent shockwaves through Hollywood, proving that even the biggest stars aren't immune to financial disaster. And then there's the revelation that no one saw coming. A beloved actor whose career has spanned decades has revealed a painful and tragic past. Known for their charm and effortless performances, they finally spoke out about the trauma that shaped their life. It was a story of survival, of overcoming demons that no one knew existed. The revelation has left fans reeling, questioning how someone who brought so much joy to the world carried such a heavy burden for so long. Their courage to finally speak out is inspiring, but it also shines a harsh light on the hidden struggles so many stars endure in silence. Meanwhile, another Hollywood icon finds themselves at the center of a scandal that could change everything. A shocking piece of secret news has surfaced, something they fought to keep buried, something that could destroy the image they've spent years perfecting. The whispers started small, but now the story is everywhere, forcing them into an impossible position. Will they come forward and face the storm, or will they try to control the narrative before it's too late? One thing is certain: Hollywood never forgets, and the truth always finds a way out. But even in the middle of tragedy and scandal, the industry doesn't slow down. As one star faces downfall, another is rising. A former child actor who once seemed to vanish from the industry has made a jaw-dropping comeback. Written off by many, they disappeared from the spotlight, battling demons that nearly destroyed them. But now, they've returned with a new project, a new outlook, and a story that proves Hollywood loves a comeback story, if you're strong enough to survive the fall. Their return has reminded everyone that in this town, reinvention is possible, but only for those willing to fight for it. Yet, even as some stars reclaim their place, others are watching their careers crumble. A once-beloved celebrity is facing a crisis so massive it could end everything. Fans have turned against them, endorsements are vanishing, and the industry is distancing itself. The question on everyone's mind: can they come back from this, or is this the end of an era? Hollywood is ruthless, and sometimes even the biggest names don't get a second chance. But if history has shown us anything, it's that Hollywood never stops moving. Scandals will come and go, fortunes will be lost and made again, careers will crash and be rebuilt. The spotlight is unforgiving, but for those who survive it, the story never really ends. And just when we think we've heard it all, another twist is waiting just around the corner.